everyone. Like Luay pointed out to me earlier that it's best to speak last because then I can agree with everyone and re-emphasize. But I can't actually agree with everything that was said. We heard a lot today talk about security. Of course, this is a regional security forum. Dr. Wadah in the morning in his keynote, he asked a very valid question. What security are we talking about and for whom? And then he concluded his keynote by saying that we have to go back to the people, to rural communities, to refugees. But yet, most of this day, the discussions were focused on national security, on regional security, on the drivers and the players. But I didn't hear much talk on the human security aspect, which actually goes down to the individual. The energy, the role of energy and the national security, I think, is not disputed. I mean, everyone was talking about it earlier. But what about energy security at the individual level and water security at the individual level and food security? How does that actually influence the national security, and how could it actually enhance it? Research already finds many links between resource scarcity and the lack of human security in the region and around the world with conflicts. And it's considered as a threat multiplier. So if this is the situation now, what will happen with climate change and climate change impacts in the future? I mean, I don't think it's now common knowledge to everyone that the region is going to be warmer. If you talk to anyone on this street, is going to say today is a very warm day. This is climate change. It's not actually really true, but it reflects that there's a general knowledge that this region is going to become warmer. There's going to be more extreme temperatures. There's going to be a decrease in precipitation, a change in precipitation patterns. The region, the Middle East and North Africa region, is going to witness more extreme events such as droughts, such as flooding, more aridity, and this is only just some of the things that will happen. And of course, there's going to be some variations between different sub-regions. Some countries are going to be more vulnerable, such as Morocco, and others, such as the Arab Peninsula, might witness a slight increase in precipitation, but still there's a general trend on the regional level. And this is, we're talking, all of these impacts are going to happen in a region that is already very water scarce, that is already has very low efficiency in its agricultural production, that is the largest importer of wheat in the world. It's a region that lacks arable land. So what will happen if we are going to have all of these impacts in a region that's already so delicate, that has already widespread conflict as well, that has weak governance, that has weak economies? So what will happen? How will this reflect on the energy? Just to focus more on the energy, even though this is going to reflect on all sectors as well. But to look at the energy, how will this reflect on the energy sector? There are going to be impacts on both the demand side and the supply side. On the demand side, of course, there's going to be an increase in demand for cooling, for residential areas, for industries, for agricultural production in greenhouses. Agricultural production is going to be more intensive, more fertilizers, needing water is going to be you need to convey water for longer distances. This is going to require energy. You need more energy to pump water when your groundwater table is going to go even lower. And plus, you're going to need a lot of energy for desalination. But you're also going, the energy sector is also going to witness impacts on the supply side. Hydropower production is going to be impacted, of course, because we have a decrease in precipitation, variation in the flows, production of electricity. The efficiency is going to be impacted, is going to become lower because of the water that's going to be warmer and that's needed in such a process. There also the infrastructure, because of the extreme heat events, there's a high chance of that this will be impacted. But it will not stop there. Common sense and research shows that this was going to have a ripple effect. It will have a ripple effect on the economy. It will have a ripple effect on health, on other sectors such as tourism, of course, on water security and food security. When we talk about energy and energy security, especially on the level of the individual, I mean, we cannot talk about it separately from water and from food. The interlinkages there are so strong that it really has to be looked at in a very integrated manner. Of course, this is expected to increase inequalities because of the more competition, because of less available resources, social tensions, especially for countries that are exporting while the national demand is increasing, and conflict and displacement. And we're talking about all of this if, of course, the region decides to stay heavily dependent on fossil fuels, keeping in mind that really the region is, the energy security landscape in the region is not uniform. And most of the discussions I hear today, or the inputs, I feel like they are showing one group of countries and are missing out on others. So what needs to be done? It is really important that countries in the Middle East and North Africa, when they start thinking of the new security arrangements, whatever these arrangements are, that they have a human security as integral, and that climate change adaptation is core in this. It's not something that comes later. It's not a future thing that we think about when we get to it. It's not something that is oil and gas and coal is staying there. Renewable will actually just complement. And it's up to these countries to decide how are they going to do these adaptation measures. And it is really a faster transition to renewable energy is central, along with improvement in efficiencies and demand-side management policies. And last but not least, it is important to have a shift in the thinking of energy. We have to think of in a more integrated approach where all sectors are looked at together.